Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations at Hub101.Earth. My name is Yue Xia, and I'm the founder and managing director of Hub101.Earth, which is an open access global platform on knowledge sharing and capacity building surrounding climate, nature, and environmental topics. Today, we are at the beginning of London Climate Action Week 2026, and I am delighted to get the opportunity to sit down with Sharon London from Forest Stewardship Council. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me first thing on a Monday morning. I know you have a very busy week ahead. So perhaps we can just start by you telling me a little bit about Forest Stewardship Council, which, and I will read this, I think you are the Partnerships Director, and Forest Stewardship Council is an organization that focuses on setting global standard for responsible forest management.
Correct.
Would you say that's kind of...
Yeah, and I'm actually part of the FSC Investments and Partnerships team, so based in Seattle, Washington, but supporting the global FSC.
Okay, so what is FSC? I think many people have seen FSC around, especially your very famous check tree logo.
Correct.
What is the organization?
So FSC was founded 31 years ago at the Rio Summit when they couldn't come to an agreement of what should we do around responsible forestry. So all the forestry people came together and said, let's create our own standard. And so this standard started 31 years ago, and it's been around, and it's membership-based, so it's about 90 countries represented in our membership now from the global north and global south, and they come together to set the standards for responsible forestry. And there's 3 chambers: social, economic, and environmental. And those 3 chambers set the rules. Every 3 years we have a general assembly, and then when they set new motions, the Secretariat in Bonn, Germany is then obligated to implement those motions. So it's not a corporate entity. It's definitely for the people, by the people. And the membership is social chamber, which could be indigenous rights groups. It can be all sorts of things, as well as labor unions. The environmental chamber is a lot of the big ENGOs like WWF, TNC, Rainforest Alliance. And then the economic chamber is a lot of our certificate holders like IKEA, Procter & Gamble, big corporations and small that care about responsible forestry.
Okay. And what is this FSC, check tree logo? What does it mean? What is the standard?
Yeah, so if you buy a product, say it's a notebook or a box of tissues, and look on the bottom and see that tree check logo, you know that it comes from a forest which has been certified that's responsible. So all those the social, economic, and environmental factors going into that are secure. You know that the chain of custody process, that there's no bad actors in there. And that when you can buy that and feel good about it, we don't want to use tons of resources, but we do use resources in our world. And so when you're buying a product, choosing an FSC product gives you that assurance that you're making a good choice for the environment, at least, and for the people who are, because you want to buy a product that, there's not illegal labor rights or child labor. That a third-party auditor, we don't do the auditing, a third-party auditor has gone in and said, yes, it fits all these things. And then in addition to the products, we now certify ecosystem services as well on top of it.
Oh, okay.
So that could be things like clean air, clean water, good for the soil, it's fun for recreation, cultural values. These are all things that FSC auditors can certify on top of sustainable forestry.
Oh, I see. That's very interesting. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about the sort of thing that FSC standard covers, which is, as you mentioned, the environment, the social, and the economic factors. So could you give a bit more examples or illustration of what those 3 mean?
Yeah. So there's 10 principles. You could think of almost as like the FSC 10 commandments. So of course there's no religious connection, but and those cover those 3 areas. So things like FPIC, free, prior, and informed consent for indigenous peoples, that whoever's owning that land wouldn't just go in and, harvest wood or something on that land. No way. That's not allowed. It's ecologically, it's done well. So for example, I took a field trip with Amazon.com in Seattle, where I live, and we visited some certified forests. And those forests have standing trees. They have certain rules. So when the auditor comes in, they're making sure that forest has ecological value. There's actually a university professor at the University of Utrecht that did a study in Africa, in Gabon, and found that there was more big primates in FSC certified forests than forests that had been harvested without FSC certification. And those without certification had more things like, creatures you didn't necessarily, not native species, but you get more big mammals. So it's really proven that FSC certification, it also can often have more carbon. It's really the forest is going to recover and keep thriving for the next generation.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you see that. Yeah. And then economically, hopefully the owners are giving a price premium for that FSC certified product, because it does cost a little bit more to do FSC. You have to pay to be certified. And so we want to make sure that it's beneficial to whoever's doing that certification. So there's the landowner that you can certify your land, so you could be small or big. You can certify the products, and I think there's over 60,000 products that have been FSC certified. And in terms of land, it's 160 million hectares. So that's really big. It actually was even bigger before the Russia-Ukraine war, but we had to disassociate from Russia because we couldn't check. So I think we were almost up to over 200 million hectares.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but we'd really like it to grow, because if you see a forest is certified, it's good. And then the third way to certify is through a product. So like McDonald's actually has an FSC certification for the paper they use, and that's called a promotional license. And it doesn't have to be wood. You can certify natural rubber. So Pirelli has a natural rubber tire. They've even used it on a Formula One car.
Really?
Yeah.
So where does that rubber come from? Come from the trees?
From the trees, yeah. It could be Brazil, where the first natural rubber trees are from, or Southeast Asia has a lot. I used to live in Thailand in Southeast Asia for 4.5 years, and there's so many natural rubber trees. But ensuring that the money is going to the landowners and the people doing the work, and so trying to make sure it's equitable. So workers' rights, where you're not going to, in those 10 principles, are really important. Principle 2 is workers' rights. Principle 3 is FPIC, or free, prior, and informed consent. But if you go through that list, you'll see that, oh, wow, this is a really impressive list. And then the standards are set by countries, because that not all ecosystems are the same. So the U.S. would be very different than here in London versus in Gabon or in Thailand.
No, absolutely. It's so interesting, because it just shows you how important forests are to us as a civilization, to people, to all sorts of things that we demand and use every day, but how to gain those products sustainably and manage those forests into the long term. That is the challenge.
Yeah, and we're not the only certification scheme. And I use the word scheme in the U.S. Sometimes people go, oh, scheme, Ponzi scheme, but it's a way of doing certification. But there's a body that certifies all the certifiers, which is called ISEAL. And so they have over 60 certification schemes in their system, and they've ranked them in terms of what's good, what's not good. Not that they're not good, but like what has really stringent rules versus less stringent rules.
Right. Wow. Okay. So ISEAL.
ISEAL, and it's like the international standard for I don't know what, but ISEAL. Yeah, it's a great, and I think they're actually based here in London.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to sustainable forestry management in a bit, because that's so important. But just to talk a bit more about yourself, how did you get into this? What was your motivation coming into this?
That's a good question. I think as a young person growing up, we had a county park near my house, and we'd go hiking there. And then in college, I took a class that took me to Moorea it was a field station. And that experience, I said, I want to keep doing international work. And then I also applied. I couldn't decide my major, and I was like, geography, conservation, resource studies, and I applied for an internship at the National Geographic Society, so I had to be a geography major. And then I loved it so much. I did get the internship, and I have an undergraduate degree in geography and a master's degree in geography, because I love it so much. And now my son actually is getting his degree in geography, so amazing. It's pretty great. Yeah,
found the
exactly. And then I did the Peace Corps in Thailand in a national park, and so that experience really exposed me to all the opportunities around forests. And then came back, got my master's degree, and then worked with WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, in Laos for a couple years, setting up a protected area.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. So 4.5 years, so I can speak Thai and some Lao. Don't get to use it as much in Seattle. And then I got married and started my family, and so I moved to Seattle. So I've been there ever since.
And how long have you been with FSC then?
Just been 4.5 years. So I worked for a lot of little NGOs in Seattle, more local ones. A very exciting one was called EarthCore, where we brought young adults from around the U.S. through AmeriCorps program and around the world to do habitat restoration and leadership development. And so I met all sorts of amazing young people who are now, sometimes I run into them at work, in my work. And so then when my kids went off to college, I was able to get back to international development and ended up at FSC. So it's been just an amazing experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think motivating and finding young people who wants to tap into this sort of work is so important, because they can get inspired at a much younger age than I did, and get into trying to be part of the solution, trying to protect forests, restore our natural world. It can be just such a powerful force.
Well, it's helpful for me too, because I need that motivation. Sometimes it can be really hard. The world has a lot of hard things happening. And so I appreciate the youth, the enthusiasm, the energy to make change.
Yeah, absolutely. So then coming back to sustainable forest, why just a very basic question, why is it important to manage forests sustainably?
So it's an important, very important question, but really the forests are our lungs. They're the lungs of our world. And if we don't have forests, they're filtering carbon, they're providing all these amazing, those ecosystem services I mentioned before, but clean air, good water. Without forests, if you're, doing some sort of mining or any sort of project, the forest really can help clean things. In Thailand, we used to do a game where we'd take up somebody who had a lot of hair like me, somebody with short hair, and maybe someone who was going into the monkhood with no hair, and spray a bottle of water, and you'd see that when that water comes down, that's like the floods coming down. Without the trees there, things will flood. And the forests just, they're like sponges for the world. We recently had FSC has a leadership council, and we were talking about a program in Brazil, and we asked each person, what's your connection to the Brazilian Amazon? And one guy said, well, I don't really have a connection. And my colleague from Brazil said, no, we are your lungs, we are all connected. And so I thought that was a really beautiful example of the importance of forests.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've relied on forests for so many products and supplies that we kind of take it for granted. And the rate of deforestation going on around the world is still so high that it is very difficult to see. But in terms of, but you work with landowners, right? Forest owners.
Well, yeah, we call them certificate holders. And I have a very broad role that I'm supporting all of FSC. So it could be supporting those certificate holders, which could be an indigenous group, because, indigenous peoples, they own so much land, not own, I would say, they are the guardians of so much of what we do. And so we really want to make sure that forests are treated well. But it can also be big landowners like in the U.S., Kimberly-Clark or others that use forests. And then also all those people who sell products from the forest. So that's all part of the remit. And then also ecosystem services supporting that initiative too. And sustainable finance, that's an area that I've been more and more focused on. So we want to make sure that forest owners have the ability to get the financing they need. And sometimes getting things started, there can be higher startup costs. So sometimes you need a mix of philanthropy and investment. But then we're also talking to investors and saying, hey, if you're investing in any product that requires the forest, use FSC standards. It's been around for 31 years. You're getting all the requirements that a lot of the financial institutions need. So we're really promoting FSC as a solution in the finance world too.
Oh, absolutely. Then maybe talk a little bit more about your role of looking after partnerships.
Sure.
So you've already mentioned quite a broad spectrum of different actors involved in sustainable forest management. Big landowners, companies, smallholders. What is your role of managing partnerships?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And so currently, and we have a few different people on our engagement team who do this type of work, but I'm leading our presence at climate events like this one. So making sure we have a clear strategy, we're promoting, as a team, that we are tracking all of our key accounts, because there's a lot of people at FSC, over 400 staff globally in different places. And so we want to make sure we're aligned and talking to one another. And then I also work closely with my colleague who leads on sustainable finance. So working with a lot of financial institutions too, just to make sure that, how can, we don't want to recreate the wheel, I guess I would say. So if another group is already doing something, sometimes I'll talk to my colleagues and say, hey, we should talk to this group. They might be doing this kind of work and we could join together, because this is a big problem and we're not going to figure it out alone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think of us, there's a single organization and individual can solve all of these problems. And it's such a compound problem as well. You've got climate, you've got nature crises, and then you've got loads of development issues that still need to be sorted. So, and
the human issues too, like making sure people are getting a living wage, or their lands are being protected or using in their customary ways, that kinds of thing.
Yeah, and they're all interlocked and interlinked. So it almost takes everybody to push along at where they are at. And FSC, as you say, having been around for so long and very steadily establishing itself as the leader in, setting a standard for what does sustainable forest management look like, is very much at the forefront of that.
For sure, and it's a big tent. I mean, when you have so many members, they're not all going to agree, and so it does, we're really good at bringing people together. And I think that's one of our strengths, and that we cover so much, that it's landowners and all the products, it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, imagine. So, speaking of undertaking, I wanted to just throw some stats at you. So you already talked about the area that's covered. I saw it was over 160 million hectares. That would be under forest ownership by someone that is
FSC certified.
It is certified. And then 1,200 plus individuals and organizations from 90 countries.
Yeah, in our membership. So that was that with those 3 chambers.
Yeah, and then 70,000 plus organizations certified.
Yeah, okay, so it keeps growing all the time.
That's a lot. 1,700 companies licensed to promote their products. Does that mean, so a company, like you said, Kimberly-Clark can say all our product is FSC certified once you can establish that supply chain?
Yeah, so they know the supply chain is good, and then they're making sure that even if it's a box, maybe the box that your Amazon product comes in or something, or maybe not Amazon, but that product has been certified, that somebody has double-checked that to make sure they've audited it.
Okay.
But not by us, again, third parties. Yeah.
And then I read an interesting fact is apparently in 1995, the world's first FSC labeled product is a wooden spatula sold in Sainsbury, UK.
Oh, well, there you go. I'll have to go to Sainsbury today.
But so definitely as an organization, you've been around a long time. What would you say at the moment are some of the bigger challenges around forestry and sustainable use of these resources?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, I'm coming from the US, so I think just the government support is really disappointing that it's shifted so much. I think, the US used to be a part of the Paris Accord. We were part of things, and now we're not. And for just me personally, it's disheartening. It's hard to see that that our global leaders aren't, at least in my country right now, and not all of them, I just say a few, aren't recognizing the value of forests. And I think that then goes on to the corporations who are like, oh, well, maybe I don't have to have such strict standards. And it's like, well, actually, it would be great for all of us if you did, And so I think that sort of corporate greed is, I think what I'd call it, is a challenge. We need to, as a society, and this is a bigger picture, but if we really want to be around in the future, it can't be business as usual. Things need to shift.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's a lot of, I think, zero-sum game mentality going on, as in if I have more, you must have less, or if I've, people are taking things away. I feel there's just not enough investing in the common greater good that we can all enjoy and be a part of into the long term.
Yes.
So these things are very there's a lot of short-term thinking, whereas forests, nature, people, culture, all of these things are what sustains us way into the future. So on a bit more optimistic note,
Okay.
What are you hopeful? Like, are there opportunities that you think that we should grab at this moment? Coming into Climate Action Week, what are the things that you'd like to see more of?
Yeah, well, FSC has sort of 4 big goals that we're focused on. One is just promoting FSC solutions. Like it's, people can use FSC products. We can partner. We can find ways to work together. Encouraging governments to include FSC in how they operate. I think there's a lot of value to that. Third would be really promoting Indigenous voices. I think that's such an important issue. FSC has an Indigenous foundation, and that's one piece of it, but it's also integral of how FSC as a whole operates. Since 2013, we've had a program to really support Indigenous peoples, and we want to make sure that everybody's, people's ways of being are being valued. And just continuing to build partnerships and find ways to support one another. So those are like our big goals. But as a society, we'd love to see more. It's exciting to see so much energy around Climate Week. Was it over 800 events? Maybe it's growing. That people care. It's sometimes you can get really doom and gloom and what's going to happen? But people do care. And so if we can come together, promote these solutions. I mean, even on the plane over here yesterday, I was sitting next to someone who was on a panel, just randomly, who I'd met before. So it was really great to know that.
Yeah, I know. I find these gatherings quite heartening. As you say, in the last 2 years have been a little bit tough in terms of there's so many headwinds against climate and nature conservation and protection. But yeah, it's gathering like this that makes you feel like lots of people are still working on solutions. We can all be a part of it. So that's encouraging.
Yeah. And young people, I would just say that education in young people is really, to me, like we talked about before, there's a lot of energy and enthusiasm there, and we need that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I'd like to go back to, something that you mentioned before, is absolutely, forests give us many of these ecosystem services. And that would include things like carbon benefits and also biodiversity, etc. So there was a certification program that you were talking about? Maybe explain a bit more about that.
So we call it verified impact. So we're verifying the impact of your ecosystem services. So say you have a small tract of land, you get it certified, and then you say, and I want to certify it for the biodiversity that's here. So when the auditors are there, they have a checklist that our team has, with the input of all of our membership or different task forces, come together to create. They double check to make sure, yes, this is valid, and we can give you a claim. And then as the landowner, you can promote it, you can tell stories about it. You can't actually sell it on markets, like we're not, but we would like it to be included with markets, so that if somebody does certify carbon, we work closely with Vera to say, how do we work together to promote this? Or if it's a carbon claim, we can work with different groups like that. And I would say that would be more with Vera as the carbon, but biodiversity is a new market coming forward. Or recreation, like you can certify that. Or if you want to certify a national park, you can do that to ensure that it has all the values that are there. Actually, all of the city parks in Seattle are FSC certified, which is really cool.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And you can do a group certificate. So if you're a small landowner, you can join together with your friends, and then it doesn't cost quite as much, because it does cost money. So we want to try to lower that barrier for entry.
Yeah. And also water, right? So
water.
Carbon and biodiversity and water. So
yeah, there's a good example in Mexico with the Del Fuerte plant. So they make tomatoes, and so they certify the ecosystems, the water impacts upstream, to make sure that any of the tomato products, that they're having clean water for their products. So it's so it can in other beverage companies like Coca-Cola or Pepsi have thought about, should we be certifying upstream because we're using a lot of water, so how can we ensure that we are mitigating those effects?
Yeah, absolutely. So for as our online learning explainers, we've branched out from carbon, nature and biodiversity into water.
Okay.
Water and ocean. That's our next.
Oh, excellent.
Next big series. So I mean, because it's all interconnected, and vital for life on Earth. You know, if we don't have fresh water, there will not be life.
Sure.
So FSC is one certification scheme for sustainable forest management. Are there other ones that you know of?
Yeah, so there's the two big ones would be PEFC, that's here in Europe, and then SFI, Sustainable Forestry Initiative in the US. They were both started by industry, so it could be, logging companies or forestry companies are like, yeah, I don't have enough. I don't want to do everything that's required of FSC, but I still want to do something. And so it's still really valid. I'm a big proponent of it's a big tent. We all need to work on this. And so, of course, I think FSC is it's a higher standard, but I'd much prefer to see PEFC or SFI than nothing. And even then, they still do a good job. So, and we've even done events together, and we promote one another because we all recognize we need certification. There's a lot of ways, and it's not one size fits all. FSC might not be right for somebody, and maybe they need a different way, but if you want all of those really high standards, and particularly around Indigenous rights and workers' rights, then you would probably want to choose FSC.
Okay. Yeah, no, it just it makes it much easier for, say, consumers or whoever's buying those products to have this very clear signal of this has gone through some checks, and you are assured of the quality and the supply chain of the product that you're buying into, which is really helpful.
Yeah, and you could also go to ISEAL and double check, like, hey, where do these different certificate bodies fit? And that's, if you're wondering of like, oh, this is too much to figure out, how do I know if it's a good one or not? Go to ISEAL's website and double check it, or Google, or use your AI to say, hey, which certification scheme is best for me?
And so one more question I had was around, when you mentioned how global the council is and how different participants take part from Global North, Global South. How is the Global South participants' concerns being folded into it? And what are sort of some of the opportunities around the Global South landowners or members? How are their concerns being reflected in the decision process?
Really good and valid question. Our board of directors has, criteria of how many people. So we have members representing the Global South. So that's like one check because they meet regularly and are ensuring that things are in place. We have country offices. So like my good friend Elson is the head of FSC Brazil. But then we also have regional offices. We have teams in Africa. We have FSC Africa region, and then we have like FOC Indonesia. So like Global South they may have their own standards for their country, so they're very active and participating. And so it just probably they'd want to get involved in certification or any of the different ways. So it's just integral to who we are and what we do.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then one more thing is, can we talk a little bit about technology?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's another area. When I first started FSC, my colleague Scott, who is now required, he came from 17 years at Esri, the GIS mapping company. Mm-hmm. And so I helped him put together a technology consortium. So we have input from some of the big tech leaders like Esri, they've joined us, Microsoft, Salesforce, DocuSign. There's quite a few, and they give us, so we come to them with, we call it the big question. We come with big questions that we're facing and say, hey, what do you recommend? And it's not that we need to use their products or that they're endorsing anything, but we're asking their advice on the best way to move forward. So I've been really excited in the 4.5 years I've been at FSC to see our GIS functionality really grow, because that's what my background is from geography. Mm-hmm. And to see FSC now actually having the shape files and thinking about how do we use remote sensing in the best way and partnering with these tech companies is really exciting. And I think that's an area that even in the Global South or wherever anybody lives is there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I think many of the Global South participants have a chance to almost leapfrog using some technology to just better manage their assets that way and avoid some of the problems that you traditionally would have to go through to get there.
Yeah. And then one more thought is that anybody can become an FSC member. So if you're like, I don't like this standard, well, your company or as an individual can become a member, or your organization. And so we're always looking for more members to ensure that you apply. It's it's not like just instantly, boom, you're a member, but and then whatever country you're from. So like for people in the US, they become an FSC US member, and then that allows them to participate in the global FSC. So I think there's a lot of opportunity around membership too, of helping set the standards, because it's not an easy task.
No. Well, getting that global consensus, but at the same time hearing all the voices that's coming up from different perspectives, right?
Yes.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to highlight?
Well, I'd just say that
We've
when
chatted a lot.
Yeah, well, when I came to FSC 4.5 years ago, I knew of FSC, but I didn't really know about it. And the more I learned, the more I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so I feel like I can get up every day and go to work, and I'm really excited to do it. And so I really believe in what we're doing and how we're doing it. And of course, there's going to be problems anywhere you go. There's issues, but it's I think FSC has a really interesting solution. Actually, one of the founders said, yeah, I feel like it's kind of like Harry Potter. I never thought it, the boy who lived, I didn't think 31 years ago it would keep going, but it's still here, and we're still going strong, and we want to still be relevant. And, as our world shifts, to ensure that people are thinking about where their products come from, how they're made, and that there's people behind it, and there's animals behind it, and, it's a really important issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I did think of one more question.
Okay.
Is if there's one thing you could do or wish for or just make happen, what would it be?
I think it's something around education. So people shouldn't be like, what is FSC? I mean, I think just helping spread the word about that, and encouraging everybody to do their part in the climate change, not just FSC, but globally. I think if more people cared, I would hope that we could come together,
Absolutely. We need to do a module on FSC then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Explain on FSC.
We do. Actually, they have it online now. They just created an FSC online module of do you have questions about it? So maybe you could just link to that.
Absolutely. We need to link into that.
Absolutely. No, look at us. See, we're partnering, coming up with solutions right here.
It's all happening.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Sharon. I will let you get on with your very busy Climate Week agenda. But I will see you rest of this week. And best of luck with all the events. And we'll have many, many more chats ahead.
Sure. Thank you. And I think we met last year at Climate Week here in London. So it's really great to see this this relationship and this work moving forward. Absolutely. So thank you.
Lots more to talk about.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.